Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to Drumlin Diner. So, I've done a couple of bits and pieces since last we had a look at this place, and we're going to take a look at the finished product. Changes aren't anything particularly challenging, so not really video worthy, but we'll take a look around in just a moment. So I did want to take a second to sort of update you on what's going on my end. I'm sure you've noticed the upload schedule's been a bit erratic lately, but hopefully that will be getting sorted in the next couple of weeks. I'm working on freeing up a little bit of extra time. So yeah, it kind of depends on nailing down a few other people, but hopefully we'll get there. So, one of my new builds. This place is functionally a player home, or player base, more or less. This is a little power armour storage and workshop. Take a quick look out over the front entrance here. That crossroads gets quite a lot of random encounters and random spawns and raiders and that sort of thing, so that turret there gets quite a lot of action. But it adequately defends the front gate. Initially I had put these two power armor stations closer to the back wall, but I noticed a slight technical problem that I couldn't actually use them when I did that, so they've nudged forwards. This character hasn't actually collected all the power armor yet, but as we're modding away, I didn't really worry too much about doing things by the book, so we've used FreeMaker to put those in. This place looks much better with a full set, although I can't get just any paint job unfortunately, so making do with a selection of what we've got. Do quite like that Abraxo one, it's quite colourful. But I'd like to have a couple of the Nika World ones eventually. Yeah, it's basically just the back half of the structure is just group selected into place, and then the front half was sort of group selected onto the front of it. Very, very simple. So, we've got our little kitchen garden there. Decided to go with exposed wires for this one, just for a bit of a change. Got the Nika World windmill water pump there. Sort of around the back of the diner. With this being a workshop anywhere settlement, unfortunately we can't assign any settlers to farm here. But the thoughts there, so you can see the general idea. We've got a little shed in the back there. And the back of the diner, which is kind of awkward to work with. Unfortunately that car went scrap, and it kind of limits the space we've got. I would have kind of liked to do something under that wing, I think, but it is what it is. So I've left the tables in place because it gives people a place to hang out, and it's a kind of functionally part of the diner. So a little space for any caravan hands to stop by to chill out and catch some sleep in there. Very, very simple, just a couple of containers with a little bit of furniture. The vertical boards and the little bit of support at the back of this place that you can see are added by Toys Out of the Pram's Pillars and Supports mod, which I've recently picked up. I'll have to get round to adding to my mod list, which if you're curious about, you'll be able to find the full list down in the description. So rather than using the standard Caravan stopping point that you get from Bunker Hill, I thought I'd use one of the invisible mats and build something of my own. Take a quick look over the gate here. As regards the main diner, I haven't really done a great deal with it, mostly because Trudy's got her set up the way she has it and hasn't done too much with it herself, so you didn't really need too much in the way of a change. Sort of keep the spirit of the place as it is while sort of building my structures and so on around it. So, move on and around to the housing. So first things first, on the left here, it's the player home. We've got the RV up there on top of a couple of foundations with some junk fences group selected in underneath. There's a nice sort of place to hang out, bit of storage. We've got the workbenches down below, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. I have actually been using this as a base for the player since I put it together, and it's working pretty well. Plenty of room to store everything I need to store anyway. And a little bit of display room as well there. Probably a little drafty with just the curtain, but what can you do? This support on the left is actually a USO one rather than one of Toys Out of the Pram's particularly added pieces, but I wanted to use something a little different there, and that did the job nicely. So we have a very compact little crafting area down here. So everything we need with the exception of the chemistry station, which we'll take a look at in a bit. Right by the player home there. So the 4 NPCs we do have here are obviously Trudy and her son Patrick, and because I didn't kill them, Wolfgang and Simone. So this is, although they won't use it, Trudy and Patrick's place. Little bedroom for Trudy there, and a tiny little space in the back there for Patrick. A little bit of cooking room. Very improvised staircase to get up there. Pushing on around the back, this is where I did have a chemistry station initially, but I've removed it. I'll have a look where it's moved to in a moment. So you've probably already seen the sort of workshop there on the right that will eventually have the robot workbench in it, but I've attached a little shed for the generators here. I did want to use a fusion generator, but the character's not got the necessary perks yet, so a couple of medium generators will have to do. Bit of group select to get the bits and pieces on the side there. In fact, the whole thing's just group selected onto the side. Light switch. And you can see everything except the actual workbench. And have a look with the lights on in there now, so it's all controlled from that one on the inside. And we'll step out the back gate here and have a look at the little area just outside the walls. Yeah. Useful if you're approaching from starlight, something like that. That's just behind us here. Tuck around the bottom of this cliff here into what appears to be just a junk pile. Is in fact Wolfgang and Simone's little home. It's very basic. They're not particularly great builders, I don't think, but it's got everything they need. So this is where Wolfgang makes his chems. Fridge there to store them in, and the gate's closed on me. A little bit of protection should he need it. And that little shack tent hovel thing. Very, very basic, but just about keeps the weather off them. Just about. As always, if you want to see any of the separate parts of this build, then there's a playlist on the channel that you can have a look and find specific builds. I'll take a swing around the walls so you get a general idea of what they look like. Trudy's house forming part of the wall there. And as they're a little bit in contention with each other, Wolfgang and Simone are just outside the main settlement. But there we have it. Drumlin Diner turned into a kind of caravan way station and player base. I do hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you know what to do now. As always, if you'd like to support the channel further, you can find a few options down in the description. Plenty of information down there. It's always very much appreciated. And please do take the time to have a look at some of my other videos as well. We've got some cool stuff coming up. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be speaking to you all very, very soon.